Hospitals are supposed to be safe places. They're the one environment we all count on when we're at our weakest, whether it's to heal, recover, or just find a moment of safety from life's storms. But for Latricia Green, Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit, the very last place she gave over 20 years of her life as a loyal employee, became the site of her death. On August 22nd, 2025, Latricia was working in the basement of Henry Ford Hospital when she was confronted by her ex-husband, 53-year-old Mario Green. Minutes later, she was executed. Police say Mario fled the hospital and his car was later found abandoned in Detroit. But what makes this case even more heartbreaking is that Latricia had done everything she could to protect herself. She had already gone to court to get a protection order. She had already told authorities she feared for her safety. And still, here we are. Welcome back to Park Jones. This is not just the story of a woman murdered at work. It's the story of a system that failed her and could very well fail you and me. Latricia wasn't just a victim. She was a woman with a life, a story, and a legacy. Friends and coworkers describe her as magnificent. She was the kind of person you wanted in your corner. Kind, dependable, and warm. She worked at Henry Ford Hospital for over 21 years, building a reputation as someone who treated her coworkers like family. One longtime friend remembered how they both started out as young women in the hospital cafeteria, full of laughter and ambition. They dreamed about their futures, about building careers in healthcare, and Latricia made good on those dreams. She wasn't just clocking in. She was a part of the soul of the hospital.
Those that knew and worked side by side with Latricia in the laundry area of the hospital are absolutely devastated by the news. Devin Wilford worked with Latricia, who she says taught her everything she knows.
She loved God. She focused on getting money and taking care of her family. Lord Jesus Christ, she was an amazing person. She was magnificent. She was more than a friend. She was a mother. She was a wife. She did her job.
Latricia was also a mother, a friend, and a woman who loved life. She wasn't reckless, she was responsible, which makes what happened to her even more devastating. She saw the warning signs with her ex-husband, she took legal steps, and she told the court she was in danger. Yet the system didn't protect her.
The cries for help from Latricia Green could be seen in black and white. First, in a personal protection order sought on June 13th, when she said her ex-husband Mario Green was stalking her, that he continued to call my job and threatened to meet employees outside, and showed up to my job and tried to enter my office without my approval to get to me. The judge denied that PPO, but just over a month later, on July 20th, Latricia would seek another. This time, she said her ex-husband's behavior had escalated. Since I was denied, she said, he has now been able to break into my car and cut up my clothes, shoes, and steal belongings from me. And he followed me on multiple occasions and has tried to break my car window. I noticed him following me from Oak Park all the way back to the city and on Woodward and the Boulevard. He continued to try and turn his car into mine and block me off. He has continued to call my job and said he will not stop or stop coming after me. I have tried to be cordial, she said, because I feel that the system has now let me down each time that I have tried to make reports on this man. My father was murdered, and now with this situation, I am now in mental distress and scared, not knowing what to do. I have to constantly look over my shoulder to make sure this man is not following me to hurt me like he has done in the past with physical abuse. I am asking for help before this goes too far, she wrote, and things are too late.
Mario Green had a documented history of instability. In the months leading up to her execution, Latricia sought protection from him in court. She detailed stalking, intimidation, threats, and even break-ins. On July 21st, 2025, just a month before the incident, a judge granted a protection order against Mario. Latricia's words were chilling. She said she feared he was going to harm her and that things were going too far. The order was approved, but crucially, it was never served.
He produced a gun, handgun, and fired multiple shots, killing his ex-wife.
Detroit Police Chief Todd Bettison laid out what happened this morning at Henry Ford Hospital around 10:15 a.m. Bettison named this man, 53-year-old Mario Green of Bloomfield Hills, first as a person of interest, but now he's the prime suspect in the shocking killing of Latricia Green Brown. It set off a chaotic scene at West Grand Boulevard and a citywide manhunt.
We're actively looking for him. He is presumed to be armed and dangerous.
Surveillance cameras caught Green entering the hospital. From there, police say he went into the basement where Brown worked and shot her multiple times after an argument. After Brown was killed, he hopped in a white 2011 Dodge Charger and took off, headed north on the Lodge Freeway. The car was eventually found abandoned near Lasser on the city's west side around 2 p.m., but Green remains on the loose. He's 6 feet tall and was last seen wearing all black and a gold chain. Mario Green also has a violent past, having served 6 years in state prison following a 2006 arson conviction. He's also served 4 years on probation for aggravated stalking. And most recently in June, he just finished a 3-year probation stint for failing to pay child support. Brown, meanwhile, had sought an order of protection against Mario Green, but he had yet to be served.
That failure left her unprotected, and in the end, it cost her life. It was a Friday morning like any other. Patients were coming in, staff were doing their rounds, and in the basement of Henry Ford Hospital, Latricia was at work. At approximately 9:45 a.m., Mario entered the hospital dressed in black, wearing a gold chain. He confronted Latricia in the basement. Witnesses described a heated argument. Then, shots were fired. Panic spread throughout the hospital as staff scrambled to secure patients, and the facility went into a lockdown. For those inside, the horror was unimaginable. The same walls meant to save lives now echoed with violence.
It was horrible. It was the most horrible feeling, because when you're in a room and they tell you can't leave, and if somebody's shooting, you just don't know. And your life just started flashing, in front of your eyes.
Was your shift already over, or are you leaving early?
I'm leaving early. I need to get out of here. No, this scared me too bad. It just traumatized me too much. No. They were walking with their guns, like their hands on it, looking for this person. And we didn't know if he was still hiding, so we didn't know anything. I'm just glad to be out of there.
By the time officers arrived, Latricia had tragically passed away, and Mario was long gone. Surveillance cameras caught him leaving the building calmly, as though nothing had happened. Minutes later, his white 2011 Dodge Charger was spotted leaving the area. That vehicle was later found abandoned on Detroit's west side.
Well, Simon, we're trying to figure out exactly when this car showed up here at Trojan and Lasser. It was just parked across the street. It's obviously been towed and it's gone now, but it was on the east side of Lasser on Trojan, on the south side of the road there. That's where the car was found. I talked to a neighbor who had some surveillance video. It only showed just a corner of the front part of the car that actually got into the frame of the video. It was between 11 and 11:20. You see the video and the car is no longer there. There's no video of the car pulling up, but then you scroll forward to about 11:48 and suddenly you do see the car in the frame there. So we know it showed up around that time, but again, we're still trying to figure out exactly how the car was found. We don't know if it was police that found the car or a neighbor that had reported it, but many neighbors were shocked when that police presence obviously showed up in search of Mario, just to see the entire presence and knowing that his car made it here about 20 minutes away from the hospital.
The police presence was so overwhelming until, it was just like, my goodness, what's going on? So I'm thinking it was an active shooter in this area, but apparently they were able to track him from the hospital. This was as far as he got. And for me to look out the window, my house is surrounded by officers with machine guns, and I'm looking at my cameras and they're in the back of my house. I got scared. Thought, what if I was sitting on the porch when he pulled up and got out the car? He could have forced me in the house at gunpoint. I could have been pulling into my garage. He could have seen me coming in, could have came in. It's too many different ways that I could have been attacked. And just like by the grace of God, I was in the house in the bed.
Detroit police, Michigan State Police, and federal agencies immediately launched a citywide manhunt. Officers urged the public to stay vigilant. Schools and nearby businesses heightened security, and for hours, the city held its breath.
That man, 53-year-old Mario Green of Detroit, all day Friday. They eventually took him into custody on the city's east side, around the 5200 block of LeMay Street. They took him into custody. Now, we're going to show you him on your screen in just a moment here. He was on the run from police all day Friday after he had allegedly shot his ex-wife at Henry Ford Hospital. Now, residents living on LeMay Street say they first heard police in their neighborhood shortly after midnight Saturday, and one woman and her son described to me how it was like something they've never seen before.
Yeah, I was in the living room right over there, and I was watching some TV, and I just seen like a light, a helicopter, and then there was like a lot of lights flashing into the house, and I got scared. So I called my mama, and she was talking to me, and then she said that she couldn't even come home because everything was like barricaded.
Did not know that the story that I was just watching earlier, which was all over the news, and we were on high alert because of that. I did not know that was actually taking place in my neighborhood. So it was pretty shocking.
Police would later arrest Mario Green around 3 a.m. on August 23rd in Detroit. He was charged with first-degree, firearm discharge in a building, aggravated stalking, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, and multiple felony firearm counts. His alleged accomplice, Anthony Lee Lamont Barnett, faces charges for accessory after the fact and lying to police. Barnett was arraigned with GPS monitoring and a $100,000 cash bond. A court hearing is set for November 6th.
Hi, what's your name, sir? Mario Green. Thank you. This will be case 25059-589, State of Michigan versus Mario Dwayne Green, counsels.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. APA Larry King for the people, P78774.
Judge Philip Raid on behalf of Mario Green. We would waive the formal reading, stand mute. He has been advised of his constitutional rights.
Court will enter not guilty plea on your client's behalf as to bond.
Your Honor, the people request bond in this matter be set at remand. Michigan Court Rule 6.106 permits remand in cases where the defendant is charged with murder. In this case, it's alleged that the defendant entered a hospital full of workers, civilians, and people being treated for medical issues, and in that hospital sought out his ex-wife at her office and fired a shot, killing her. Your Honor, this is a horrific charge. It's first-degree premeditated murder. He is facing potential life in prison. Based on the nature of the charges, the potential threat to the safety, and the fact that he ran, he hid, he had to be searched out by police over the course of several days with the assistance of several law enforcement agencies. I think he's an unreasonable risk of safety to the community and poses a flight risk.
This case shines a light on domestic violence and systematic failure. Latricia did what victims are told to do. She filed reports. She sought protection through the courts. She put her fears in writing, detailing how Mario stalked her, broke into her home, and threatened her. And a judge believed her. But here's the tragic detail. The order was never served. Without that step, Mario was never officially notified and Latricia remained exposed. This gap in the system is one we've seen before, where paperwork lags behind reality and women pay with their lives. The story of Latricia Green is tragically common. In the United States, more than 1 in 3 women will experience intimate partner violence in their lifetime. And each year, thousands tragically lose their lives, often after seeking help. Protection orders, while critical, are often undermined by enforcement gaps, which is why we always hear people say that it's just a piece of paper. The legal system recognized her danger on paper, but they failed her in practice. And unfortunately, Latricia allegedly isn't Mario's first victim.
While the suspect went into hiding, we're now learning that his ex-girlfriend feared for her safety, thinking she could be his next target.
Well, tonight she is talking to 7 News Detroit reporter Rudolph Sinaida about her violent encounters with the suspect and raising awareness about domestic violence in her honor.
That ex-girlfriend is Katina McLenny. She says her and Mario Green dated back in 2001 when she was just 20 years old. She says she wasn't brave enough to speak up back then, but she is now, and she's doing it for Latricia Green.
What would you want to tell her if she was sitting here today?
I'll fight for you.
Katina McKinley has found her voice and is using it to stand up for someone who lost theirs, Latricia Green. Mario Green is accused of shooting and killing his ex-wife at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit last Friday. That's a name and face Katina hadn't heard in decades until she saw his photo on the news.
My heart just felt like it dropped into my feet because I hadn't seen him since 2001.
Katina says her and Mario met through work when she was young, and they had a brief relationship. She eventually wanted out, and that's when he allegedly began following her, stalking her, even leaving notes on her car. Then it all came to a dramatic peak.
He followed me to a friend's house one day And because it was a man, I guess that upset him. And that's what led to him chasing me down and making me get out of my car and putting a gun to my head because, as he said, if I wasn't gonna be with him, I wouldn't be with anybody.
Katina says she filed a police report that day and got a restraining order against Mario. He then never contacted her again.
The story of Latricia Green is heartbreaking because it's both unique and familiar. Unique because she was a beloved individual, funny, kind, hardworking, and full of dreams. But familiar because we've seen this before. A woman who does everything right but still becomes another statistic. If you want to support the channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and check out the videos on the screen. I'm your host, Park Jones, and I'll catch you on the next one.